Hello, this is Patient X Files, where the rare becomes real. Water becomes poison. I never told anyone about this before, but I watched a girl cry tears that burned her own face. Her name was Sarah, 17 years old, beautiful, intelligent, with dreams of becoming a marine biologist. She loved the ocean more than anything in this world, but the ocean didn't love her back. Neither did rain, neither did her own tears. Sarah lived in a world where the most essential element of life had become her greatest enemy. Every drop of water that touched her skin felt like liquid fire. Her body would erupt in angry red welts within seconds. The itching was unbearable. The burning was worse. Picture this. You're thirsty on a hot summer day. You reach for a glass of water. As you drink, a few drops escape and roll down your chin. For you, it's nothing. For Sarah, those drops would trigger hours of agony. She discovered her curse at age 12 during what should have been the happiest day of her childhood. Her family had planned a surprise pool party for her birthday. Sarah ran toward the crystal blue water, her heart full of joy, and dove in head first. Within 30 seconds, she was screaming. Her skin looked like it had been attacked by invisible flames. Red, swollen welts covered every inch that had touched the water. Her parents thought it was some kind of chemical reaction from pool chlorine. They rushed her to the emergency room where doctors were baffled. "It's just a skin irritation," they said. "It'll pass." But it didn't pass. It never passed. Tests revealed the impossible truth. Sarah had aquagenic urticaria, one of the rarest conditions on Earth. Fewer than 100 cases have ever been documented worldwide. She was literally allergic to water. Think about that for a moment. Water makes up 60% of your body. It's in the air you breathe, the food you eat, even your saliva. For Sarah, existence itself had become a constant battle against the very substance that keeps every living thing alive. Her morning routine was a carefully choreographed dance with danger. She had exactly 4 minutes to shower with the coldest water possible before her skin began its rebellion. She developed a technique. Wash hair first, face second, body last, then get out immediately and cover herself in thick layers of barrier cream. But even then, the welts would come. They always came. Sarah's social life crumbled. She couldn't go to beaches, pools, or even walk in the rain without full body coverage. While her friends posted Instagram photos from their summer adventures, Sarah sat indoors, watching life happen through windows. The worst part wasn't the physical pain, it was the isolation. "You can't be allergic to water," people would say. "That's impossible, you're making it up for attention." Even some doctors didn't believe her initially. They'd suggest it was psychological, that she needed therapy instead of treatment. Each dismissive comment felt like another wound, deeper than any welt water could cause. Sarah's parents spent thousands on specialist treatments and experimental therapies. Nothing worked. The condition had no cure, no real treatment, barely any research. She was trapped in a prison made of H2O. But here's where Sarah's story takes an unexpected turn. Instead of surrendering to despair, she became a warrior scientist. If the medical world couldn't help her, she'd help herself. Sarah began documenting everything. Which types of water triggered worse reactions, what temperatures were most tolerable, which protective measures offered the best defense. She discovered that distilled water caused less severe reactions than tap water. Rain was worse than shower water. Ocean water was the absolute worst. Ironic for someone who dreamed of studying marine life. Sarah started a blog called Living Waterproof, where she shared her daily struggles and discoveries. Her first post had 3 readers: her mom, her dad, and her little brother. But word spread. Other people with impossible conditions began reaching out. She wasn't alone after all. A woman from Germany wrote about her daughter with the same condition. A man from Japan shared photos of his son's water-induced welts. A mother from Australia described watching her baby scream during baths. These families had felt isolated, forgotten, dismissed by medical systems that couldn't comprehend their reality. Sarah realized something profound. Her curse had become her calling. She started connecting these families, sharing treatment strategies, and advocating for research funding. Major medical universities began taking notice. Research grants were approved. Clinical trials began. But Sarah's greatest breakthrough came on her 18th birthday, exactly 6 years after that devastating pool party. She was accepted to study biochemistry at Stanford University. Despite never being able to participate in traditional lab work involving water-based solutions, the university created specialized accommodations, allowing her to contribute to research on rare dermatological conditions. Her professors were amazed by her intuitive understanding of how skin reacts to environmental triggers. Who better to study skin sensitivity than someone whose skin rebelled against the world's most common substance? Sarah's research led to the development of new protective barriers for people with severe chemical sensitivities. Her work helped identify genetic markers that might predict aquagenic urticaria in families. She became the leading voice for patients with ultra-rare conditions. Today, Sarah runs a non-profit organization funding research into orphan diseases that affect fewer than 1 in a million people. She speaks at medical conferences worldwide, teaching doctors to believe patients even when their conditions seem impossible. She never did become a marine biologist. But in many ways, she became something more important. A bridge between the medical world and patients living with conditions so rare they barely exist in textbooks. The girl who couldn't touch water learned to navigate an ocean of disbelief, emerging as an advocate for the medically forgotten. Sarah still can't take long showers. She still can't swim in pools or dance in the rain. She still carries emergency antihistamines everywhere she goes. The welts still come, and they still hurt. But she's no longer fighting alone. Her foundation has connected over 500 families dealing with aquagenic urticaria worldwide. They share resources, treatment strategies, and most importantly, hope. Children who once felt like monsters now know they're part of a rare but real community. Sarah's story teaches us something crucial. Sometimes our greatest limitations become our greatest strengths. The thing that should have destroyed her became the force that drove her to help others. She transformed her prison into a platform, her curse into a cause, her isolation into inspiration. When I last spoke with Sarah, she was planning her wedding. Her fiancé is a dermatologist who specializes in rare skin conditions. They met at a medical conference where she was the keynote speaker. People asked me if I'd cure my condition if I could, Sarah told me. Honestly, I'm not sure anymore. This condition made me who I am. It taught me empathy, resilience, and showed me a purpose I never could have imagined. She paused, then smiled. Besides, my future husband finds my waterproof makeup routine fascinating from a scientific perspective. Even in love, Sarah found someone who understood that her relationship with water would always be complicated. The wedding will be held indoors, far from any pools or fountains. The photographer has been briefed about her condition. Emergency medical supplies will be discreetly placed around the venue. But for the first time in years, Sarah isn't worried about the logistics. She's focused on the joy. The girl who was allergic to water learned that she was never allergic to life itself, just to a small part of it that everyone else took for granted. Her story reminds us that medical miracles don't always look like cures. Sometimes they look like communities. Sometimes they look like hope. Sometimes they look like a young woman who refused to let the impossible define the limits of her possible. The rarest conditions create the rarest kind of strength. And sometimes the people who can't do what everyone else takes for granted end up doing things no one else could imagine. If you enjoyed this video, please support the channel. Like, share, and subscribe.